Hello there. I thought I would share something really interesting that happened this week. Yesterday, I was in the city and I just happened to notice a girl that was begging outside a shop. And now, while I was waiting for somebody else, I was sitting there for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and I observed what was going on. And it was really, really interesting to see that this was a particular individual that probably had no money, probably had nowhere to live, probably had not got a car or a house or, probably even family. Probably there was lots of things that every one of us have that this particular lady didn't have. But what was really interesting about it was, as I was observing it, I noticed that she had some food and she kept throwing the food in front of her and all the birds kept coming down and taking the food. But she also had a bottle of water. So each time when they came down, it was like she was washing the birds and the birds were loving it. So they were eating the food that she was giving. She was throwing the water over them and they were loving it. But then I noticed that after about 5 or so minutes, she pulled out like a small bottle of whiskey. She poured it into the cap of the whiskey and then she threw it back, put the cap back on and put it back in her pocket. Like as if not a care in the world and, nothing was of phase to her. So I thought to myself, here's a lady that obviously has troubles. She's living on the street. Now, she might want to be there. That's what we need to ask ourselves. If that's the question that she asked herself, maybe that's what she wants and that's okay. But also then I observed that people were coming out and throwing money into her cup. Okay, so I noticed that there was probably 5 or 6 people come out and they threw the money into the cup. So she was sitting there and she said thank you and off they went. So when they left, she then took the money out of the cup and she flung it across the road. Okay, now there was another guy who was walking along and he started to pick up the money off the road. So traffic was pretty bad, but he was walking out in front and he was picking up the coins. So obviously he was looking over at her and saying to himself, well, what's going on here? There's something not right. So he went over and he must have said something to her. And whatever she said back to him, he accepted it, he smiled. And then he said something else to her. And then she took out what to look like to me, a packet of cigarettes. And she handed him a cigarette. And then she put the pack back in. And then he walked off smiling. Now, there's a couple of things to, I suppose, observe here based on what I have seen. So here was a lady that probably has nothing. She probably hasn't had anything for a long time. She probably nowhere to live. She certainly didn't look like her clothes were new. Her shoes were ripped and there was holes in them. She was feeding the birds food that she had. She was washing them with bottled water that she had. She was throwing away money that she was given. And she was also then, having a little tipple of whiskey, but she was also giving away her cigarettes, which she probably smoked. Now, as we all know, all that stuff costs money. So to buy food, to buy cigarettes, to buy alcohol. But clearly, she felt comfortable and happy with the current state that she's in. She felt like she didn't need it. So in fact, she was giving everything away. Everything she owned, she was giving to somebody else. That's gratitude. She didn't feel she needed it. But why am I telling you this story? It's because we all go around all day, every day, worrying about how we're going to pay for stuff, how we're going to pay the mortgage, how we're going to, run the business, how we're going to pay for the business, maybe how we're going to pay your staff, maybe it's how you're going to put food on the table. But whatever it is, we're all caught up with that. And here was a lady that has nothing and she was prepared to give it away. So she wasn't out trying to get money to live. She was just living her life the way she wants. She was giving anything she got away. And why? Because when you give stuff away, it comes back at you tenfold. So clearly, she probably gets her food from people that she knows that gives it to her. She gets water from people that she knows, and she's given money. And she uses the money to buy what she needs or what she wants. And then she leaves it at that. So nothing else happens. So basically, when you look at this situation, you say to yourself, why do we all get caught up in our daily habitual behaviors of trying to pay for stuff and trying to, I suppose, worry? The fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, depression. Why do we let all that affect us when we know it's going to sort itself out anyway? So when we tend to start focusing on something different, well, we can be attracted to that. Like this lady, she doesn't focus on the problems. She doesn't focus on putting food on the table. She doesn't focus on, putting shoes on her feet or clothes on her back. She's just focusing on being happy. She enjoyed what she was doing with the birds. She enjoyed the fact that she was throwing money and people were picking it up and coming over and thanking her. So that was her life. So the one thing I would say about this is we don't have to live our life trying to, worry, doubt and fear about paying the bills and paying the mortgage. It'll happen anyway. If we start to focus on what we want, well, then we'll start to be attracted to that and the rest will sort itself out.